Hey, what's up, guys? It is Spencer with the Fantasy Fanatics. I am here with Nathan. Nathan, I'm not even gonna get you an introduction here because of the first player we have to do. Um, we're just gonna go right into it.
Dog.
These are wide receivers, obviously for Week 7.
hmm
It is game day, so Saints Cardinals. The return of a certain player we'll touch on here soon.
Yep.
I am pretty pumped up about that. But DK Metcalf,
Go.
your guy,
My
is our
guy.
wide receiver 13 this week. He will be at towards the top of wide receiver 2 for now. He will be at the top for now. But he is facing the Chargers. J.C. Jackson does not look good. He had a rough game last night, or I guess it would be Monday night. DK is either going to go for 150 and 2 touchdowns or 45 yards. But Geno looks good. And DK's look good. What did he do last week?
He had kind of a quiet game.
Yeah, so either 30, 40
So he's
yards.
getting right. He's a dog. He's the best receiver in the league, hands down. T. Higgins finds the top of our wide receiver 2 tier. Hopefully, he is getting over his little dinky injury. He managed to play through it and still get good targets. They play at home against Atlanta, and Joe Burrow had it going. So hopefully, it's a good time for T. Higgins.
I was watching that game. They were kind of shitty targets. Like, I don't even know if you could call them targets. They were just at his feet. Like three or four targets were like by his feet. And I was like, are you kidding me? But you know what? It counts, and hopefully I'll be able to trade T. Higgins away. Amari Cooper is going to be at the top of our flex. I think he's an upper tier flex play this week. He is facing Baltimore. So Cleveland, Baltimore, probably going to be a low scoring game. But Amari Cooper's been good this year. I feel like he's had 2 or 3 duds and then 2 or 3 huge weeks. So boom or bust.
Jerry Jeudy finds the bench for us this week. He has been okay, but he is a product of that horrific Denver offense and Russell Wilson. Courtland Sutton's been the only manageable person in that entire offense. Hopefully, Russ can get it going and make Jerry Jeudy useful because he's got great talent, but you got to bench him until you see otherwise.
Yep, our wide receiver 2 this week. Not much to say about him. Faces Atlanta. Could be a major matchup. I am at 2. You have him at 1. So I guess he's tied for first. But Jamar Chase is going to have a huge day.
Tom Brady's got to get it going, and this is the guy he's going to get it going with. Mike Evans, wide receiver 1 tier for us this week at Carolina. Dysfunctional team. I could see a bloodbath, to be honest, and there's going to be there's going to be riots. Mike Evans, I'm predicting 60 yards and 3 tuds.
Not Mike Evans. A certain player is making his debut tonight, Deandre Hopkins. He will find wide receiver 1 status for us. You might be saying, oh, but he wasn't a wide receiver 1 last year. I think DeAndre Hopkins returns in a big way. Remember how the Rams got OBJ in primetime last year? His first game, they just forced him the ball.
Yeah.
If the Cardinals want to finally start winning, how about you force one of the best receivers in the league the ball?
Completely
I'm
agree.
at 5. You have him at 7. He's our wide receiver 5 this week. Absolute stud. I'm ready to see him.
Michael Pittman is our wide receiver 19. He finds the wide receiver 2 tier, slide in behind DK a little bit. He's been okay. He had a very good game last week, but it's been an up and down season so far. Matt Ryan has been slinging the pill. They play at Tennessee. It's a good matchup for him. Alec Pierce, I think, has only been helping Pittman take a little attention away. Hopefully, Pittman can build off of his big week last week. I think he had 13 catches or something for 134. I think it's right off the top of my head.
Week.
Yeah, so hopefully he can keep it going. I love the talent.
Yep, Deontay Johnson is our wide receiver 23 this week, right behind Amari Cooper. In PPR, he's a flex play, and standard, I think he's a bench play. He is producing no yards, no touchdowns. I don't know. You got to wait for.
It has trouble catching the ball.
Okay, all right. Go ahead. Next.
DJ Moore, arguably the most talented person being wasted away. He's up there with McCaffrey, just being wasted on a useless, dysfunctional team like we've talked about in previous videos. He finds I think he's on the bench this week against Tampa. Tampa's going to smack the brakes off of Carolina. DJ Moore, you love the talent. You don't love the situation. I don't think you can blame him.
Yep. Curtis Samuel is our wide receiver 25 this week. He has slowed down a lot since having a hot start to the season. I think losing Carson Wentz will hurt that even more. I don't think Taylor Heineke is going to sling it around like Carson Wentz was. You just got to hope he likes, Curtis Samuel. He could be falling outside the top 30, though, next week.
Chris Godwin slides in the wide receiver 1 tier right behind Mike Evans. I'm a massive fan of Chris Godwin. I don't think Spencer is, unless that was just complete ignorance we were talking about last week with the whole Grant trade situation. He gets fed. When
I
Tom
love
Brady
Chris
is having a
Godwin, the
good
player.
game, when Tom Brady's having a bad game, he throws the ball to Chris Godwin. Chris Godwin, when he's healthy, set it and forget it, wide receiver 1.
I think in PPR he is definitely wide receiver 1, and standard I think he is at the top of wide receiver 2.
I'd take him in either. I love him.
But PPR he is a monster. Devonte Adams, our wide receiver 1 this week, tied with Jamar Chase. I am at 1, you have him at 2. Faces Houston, so it could be a huge matchup. Devonte Adams is a stud.
Allen Lazard, about the only bright spot in the Packers passing game so far, manages to find a touchdown about every week, which you love to see. I think he's a flex this week. They play at Washington, coming off a very disappointing loss last week. They got to get it going. I think Lazard's going to keep on getting fed. Aaron Rodgers talks about loving to throw to him. Hopefully he comes through on his word.
If they lose to Washington,
Riots.
Rodgers is done. CD Lamb is above Mike Evans. Faces Detroit, so big time matchup. I'm going to pause. I'm talking about CD Lamb for a little bit and go back to Lazard and Rodgers. After how many weeks of Rodgers sucking do you have to be like, oh, this guy might be done?
I don't know. I mean, his weapons are not very good.
How long does it take, though? Like maybe halfway through the season?
I just don't think you can ever count Rodgers out. He's too talented. He's too good.
But back to CD Lamb, we have him at our wide receiver 7. I have him at 8. You have him at 5. Could be a huge week coming against Detroit.
Tyreek Hill, our wide receiver 4. You're setting and forgetting every single week. He gets Tua back this week, which should help him out a lot, even though it doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball. Maybe you could be throwing him the ball. He's going to get a ton of yards. They play Pittsburgh at home. I love a big game from Tyreek Hill.
He looks so good, too.
Yes.
He looks so good. People were going to be like, oh, is he going to be different on Miami now than he was in Kansas City? The answer is no.
Absolutely not.
Amon-Ra comes in after DeAndre Hopkins. He will also be returning. He did not play week 5 and was
5
on the
and
bye
6.
week 6.
Yeah.
So he is back. He faces Dallas, which could be a tough matchup, but Amon-Ra is used in so many different ways. Last season they were using him as like a running back too. I wouldn't mind even getting him in the backfield for some touches. Amon-Ra is so explosive, and he is our wide receiver 6 for this week.
Keenan Allen comes in the wide receiver 2 tier right behind T. Higgins and ahead of DK. He's coming back off an injury, which always makes me nervous, especially with Keenan Allen. He's so good. When he's in there, Herbert fires the ball to him, throws it on a rope. Got a great matchup, too, against Seattle. So as long as the hammy holds up, you're playing him. But it's got to make you a little uncomfortable knowing that injury will flare up like that in a heartbeat. And also Keenan's got a little bit of an injury history.
Yep, Debo is our unanimous wide receiver 3 this week. Faces Kansas City, which could be a high-scoring matchup. We thought that last week with Kansas City and Buffalo, and it wasn't really that high-scoring. But Debo is a stud, and they're going to get him involved this week big time.
Mike Williams, I think, finds the top of the wide receiver 2 tier, just above T. Higgins. Comes in our wide receiver 10. Like we said with Keenan, has a great matchup against Seattle, who can't stop a nosebleed.
But truly a boom or bust. Like, he is the boom or bust guy.
Yeah, I think this is a boom week if I've ever seen one.
It's so hard to predict. It's such a bad position, to be in. But Mike Williams is going to boom like 60% of those weeks.
Yeah.
But Courtland Sutton is our wide receiver 16 this week. He will come in above. I was trying to find it. Michael Pittman Jr. He faces the Jets. So if he gets, if he gets traveled by Sauce Gardner, or shadowed, not traveled, shadowed by Sauce Gardner, we could be talking about like a flex play. Sauce Gardner's looks so good, but I don't think he will. I don't think he'll shadow like one or the other.
Okay.
I think he'll be playing on one side of the ball.
Okay. Swap Sutton and DK. Terry McLaurin, our wide receiver 17, right behind Sutton. Hopefully Taylor Heineke can come in and provide a spark. He's had a good rapport with McLaurin in the past. Wentz just hasn't had it. McLaurin's way too good to be kept quiet. That's what I'm banking on. They play Green Bay at home. Not the best matchup, but if you have McLaurin, I think you got to play him. Just and hope that Heineke gets it going what he had last year.
Yep, Tyler Lockett will be right after Terry McLaurin. He is our wide receiver 18 this week, faces the Chargers. As long as Geno keeps firing the ball, Lockett's going to be a wide receiver 2 play.
Christian Kirk finds I think the top of flex this week, right above Allen Lazard. They played the Giants at home. Trevor Lawrence started off the season on fire to Christian Kirk. Kind of cooled off recently. I would expect that to pick back up a little bit.
Yep. Romeo Doubs finds our list for the first time this year. Had to get a new face on here. He is our wide receiver 28 this week, right above Jerry Jeudy. Faces Washington, but he seems like Rodgers' either first or second favorite target behind Allen Lazard. I don't know if you could throw Robert Tonyan in there after this week. But Romeo is a great player, and I could see him get more involved with the offense. But for right now, I think he is on the bench.
Chris Olave, arguably the best rookie wide receiver so far this year. Coming back from a concussion, he has been cleared. He slides in right behind DK in the wide receiver 2 tier. You hope he gets Jameis back because that's who's going to throw him the ball the most. If Andy's back there or even like Taysom or something, it's not ideal, but he's been able to produce with whoever's back there. He's such a stud.
Jacoby is our wide receiver 29 this week. Faces Chicago, so a good matchup. And like we said, Bailey Zappi is firing that ball around, making his receivers look good. Jacoby's looked good the past couple weeks too. So maybe he could build on those weeks and move up in our rankings. But for right now, got to leave him on the bench.
Another one of the best rookie wide receivers this year, Drake London. He finds the flex tier for me. He is our wide receiver 26 on the week. He's the unquestioned wide receiver 1 in Atlanta, but he has been kind of cool recently. I think that's mostly in part because of how Marcus Mariota's been playing. They play at Cincy, whose defense has been hit or miss this year. So hopefully it's a good get right week for him.
Yep, Brandon Cooks, our wide receiver 24 this week. Facing the Raiders, comes in right above Curtis Samuel. Brandon Cooks, not going to have huge weeks. Probably not going to give you duds either. He's just basically a consistent flex play. Maybe not that explosive Brandon Cooks we saw at one point, but he's still a pretty good receiver.
Jalen Waddle gets his guy back this week, too, coming back from an awful-looking concussion. I had Jalen Waddle started the season as an undoubted wide receiver 1. We've got him as a wide receiver 2 this week, coming back. Hopefully, Tua picks up where he left off and keeps feeding Jalen Waddle because when Waddle has the ball, he is electric alongside Tyreek Hill. If you have him, you got to play him. I expect a good game from him.
Yep. Tua did feed him the ball when Tua was in there, so that is something to look forward to. But that will do it for the wide receiver rankings video. Make sure you follow us at the FF Fanatics 3 on Twitter and the fffanatics.com. Check out our website. Ask us questions on Twitter. Subscribe to the YouTube. Anything you want to add, Nathan?
Yeah, if you enjoy the content, share it with a friend. Hit us up on Twitter. We love interacting with you guys. Be on the lookout for the tight end videos coming soon today. It is game day. Hope you guys enjoy the game. Be on the lookout for the next video.